The old clock in the hallway struck midnight. The house was quiet, too quiet as if it was holding its breath. The maid, Rena, walked slowly down the corridor. She had been told to check on the master's room before leaving, but she was never comfortable doing it at night. Something about that room always felt strange to her. Her shoes made a soft tapping sound on the wooden floor. The silence of the house made even that small noise seem too loud. She paused in front of the tall door, her hand hovering above the handle. For a moment she thought about turning back. After all, no one would know if she left now. But her duty was clear, and she did not want to disappoint her master. With a deep breath, she pushed the door open. The room was dark, only a thin beam of moonlight shining through the half-open curtains. At first, Rena thought her master would be asleep. But then she saw it, something faint, something glowing. Her eyes widened. In the corner of the room near the desk, a strange blue light pulsed softly like a heartbeat. Her master, Adrian, was not lying in bed. He was sitting at the desk, hunched over something metallic, his face lit by the glow. His hands moved quickly, pressing buttons, adjusting knobs as if he was controlling some machine. Rena froze in the doorway. She had never seen him like this. Usually he was calm, polite, and distant, always with his books and papers. But now there was urgency in his movements, as if he was running out of time. She wanted to speak, to call out, but no sound came from her lips. The hum of the machine filled the air, low at first, then rising and falling like whispers. Suddenly, Adrian looked up. His eyes met hers. "You shouldn't be here," he said quietly, his voice firm but not angry. Rena's breath caught. I was only checking," she whispered. Before she could finish, something else happened. The glow from the device grew brighter, spreading across the room. The air shimmered, like heat rising from the road on a hot day. And then Rena saw it, a shadow, a shape forming within the light. Her heart pounded in her chest. The shadow was tall, not human, with strange curves and sharp edges like a figure made of smoke and glass. It moved slowly, deliberately, turning its head. The maid stumbled back a step, her hand gripping the doorframe. What is that?" she gasped. Adrian stood, blocking her view of the thing. His expression was calm, but his eyes were intense. "You weren't supposed to see this," he said. "Not yet." The machine gave a sharp click, followed by a deep hum. The shadow inside the light shifted again, and for the briefest moment Rena thought she saw eyes glowing, watching her. Her knees felt weak. She wanted to run, to escape, but her feet would not move. The room seemed heavier now, as if the air itself was pressing against her. Adrian stepped closer to her. "Listen carefully," he said in a low voice. "You must stay quiet. Do not scream. Do not run. They can sense fear. They," Rena whispered, her voice trembling. Before Adrian could answer, the shadow inside the glow stretched out almost like an arm. It reached toward the maid, its outline shifting, its form unstable. The light flickered and the room seemed to pulse with it, as though the entire house was alive. Rena's eyes filled with terror. She clutched the doorframe tighter, nails digging into the wood. "This is not real," she muttered under her breath. "This cannot be real." But the thing in the glow tilted its head again, and then to her horror it moved its mouth. A sound followed, not words she could understand, but a low crackling whisper, like a voice carried through static. Adrian raised his hand. "Enough," he commanded, and the device dimmed slightly. The shadow paused but did not vanish. He turned back to Rena, his face pale. "You have seen too much already," he said. "There is no turning back now." Rena shook her head, her heart racing. "I don't understand," she whispered. "What are you doing?" "What is that?" Adrian glanced at the machine, then back at her. "It is a bridge," he said slowly. "A door between here and there." Her mind spun. A door? To where? But before she could ask, the shadow inside the glow shifted again. Its eyes locked on her, glowing brighter than before. For a moment she felt as though it could see right through her, reading her thoughts, her fears, her secrets. Her breath came in short gasps. The silence stretched, broken only by the hum of the device. Then, in a voice that was not human, not earthly, the shadow spoke. This time the words were clear. "Rena," it whispered. Her blood turned cold. Her name. It had spoken her name. Her legs trembled and she nearly collapsed, but Adrian grabbed her arm, steadying her. His grip was strong, unshaking. "How does it know me?" she asked, her voice shaking. Adrian's eyes were dark. "Because they have been watching us." "Watching you?" Rena's mouth went dry. She stared at him, at the glowing shadow, at the impossible sight before her. Her world, once simple and normal, had just shattered, and deep inside she knew this was only the beginning. Rena's heart was beating so hard she could hear it in her ears. The strange shadow inside the glow had spoken her name. Not once in her life had she imagined such a thing. She wanted to scream, to run away and never return, but Adrian's grip on her arm kept her still. The blue light flickered across his face, making his eyes look sharper, colder. "Stay calm," he said in a firm whisper. "If you panic, it will follow you. It knows fear. It feeds on it." Rena swallowed hard, her throat dry. The figure inside the glow did not move closer, but it also did not disappear. It stood there, tall and silent, as if waiting for something. What does it want?" she asked, her voice trembling. Adrian did not answer immediately. He looked at the machine, his hand hovering over a switch. "It should not have spoken to you," he muttered. "They usually don't, not like this." Rena pulled her arm free and stepped back, pressing herself against the doorframe. Her whole body shook. She wanted to believe this was a dream, a nightmare that would vanish when she woke up. But the glow, the hum, the coldness in the air, everything was too real. Then the shadow tilted its head again. Slowly, very slowly, it raised one arm. The movement was smooth, unnatural, like smoke forming into shape. Its long fingers pointed. At her, Rena gasped and covered her mouth. The gesture felt like a call or a command. Adrian moved quickly, stepping between her and the figure. "Enough!" he barked. His hand slammed a lever down. Sparks flew and the glow dimmed. The shadow wavered, its body breaking into fragments of light and smoke. Then in a blink it was gone. The room fell silent. Only the faint hum of the device remained. Rena leaned against the wall, her knees weak. She could barely catch her breath. "What was that thing?" she whispered. Adrian turned to her. His expression was heavy, almost sorrowful. "A guest," he said. "Not from this world. Not from any world you know." Her eyes widened. "A guest?" "That thing was a monster." He shook his head. "Not a monster. Not exactly. It came through the bridge." He pointed at the machine, its faint glow still pulsing. "This device is a door. I have been building it for years in secret. Tonight was the first full connection." Rena stared at him, her hands trembling. Why would you bring that thing here?" Adrian's eyes softened for a moment. "Because humanity is not alone. There are others out there. Some are dangerous, yes, but some are not. We have to know. We have to prepare." His words spun in her head. She was just a maid. Her world was cleaning, cooking, simple duties. She had no place in this madness. And yet she had seen it with her own eyes. She could never pretend again. But then something strange happened, a sound. It was faint, almost like a whisper. Rena turned her head sharply. The device was dim, but not silent. From within its glow, something lingered, a faint voice, soft, broken by static. She could not understand the words, but she knew it was speaking. Her skin crawled. "It's still here," she said. Adrian frowned, leaning closer to the machine. His hand hovered near the controls. Impossible. The bridge was shut. But then he froze. From the faint glow, another shadow began to form. This one was smaller, thinner, but clearer. The shape of a head, a torso. Slowly it leaned forward, almost pressing against the invisible barrier of the device. Adrian's eyes widened. "No, this should not happen," he muttered. Rena stepped back, shaking her head. "You said you closed it. You said it was gone!" The figure's outline grew sharper, and then in the same broken voice it whispered again. "Rena." She clutched her chest, her breath quick and shallow. It was calling her again. Why her? She was nobody. Just a maid. Adrian grabbed a tool from the desk, a metal rod with glowing lines. "Stay behind me," he ordered. But the figure did not move forward. It stayed half-formed, as if trapped between worlds. Its voice grew louder, clearer. "Rena, you see? You hear. You are chosen." Her blood ran cold. She stumbled back until her shoulders hit the wall. "Chosen? No, I don't want this." Adrian's hand shook on the lever. He looked at her with urgency. "Do not answer it. Do not speak back. If you do, it will bind to you." But her lips trembled, words almost spilling out. The figure's glowing eyes locked onto hers. She felt as if the air itself pushed her to respond. She shook her head violently, pressing her hands over her ears. "Stop, stop, stop." The whisper did not stop. It grew louder, echoing inside her mind. Her vision blurred, and for a moment she thought she saw flashes. Stars, cities of light, giant machines moving across strange skies. Adrian grabbed her shoulders, shaking her. "Rena, stay with me. Do not let it in." Her eyes refocused. She gasped, her chest heaving. The glow of the machine dimmed again, fading slowly until the figure broke apart into smoke and vanished. Silence. Rena collapsed onto the floor, shaking. Tears filled her eyes. "Why me?" she whispered. "Why does it know my name? Why does it want me?" Adrian crouched beside her, his face grim. "Because you were never just a maid," he said quietly. Her heart skipped. She looked up at him, confusion and fear in her eyes. "What do you mean?" He did not answer. His gaze shifted back to the machine, his jaw tight. The house groaned as if something heavy pressed against its walls. Outside, the wind howled, though the night had been calm only moments ago. And then, 3 slow knocks echoed from the window. Knock, knock, knock. Rena's head snapped toward the sound. Her blood froze, because the window was on the 2nd floor. Rena froze where she sat on the floor, her wide eyes fixed on the dark window. Her hands gripped the carpet until her knuckles turned white. The window was 2 floors above the ground. No one should be there. No one could be there. Adrian moved quickly. He grabbed a long metal rod from under the desk, its tip glowing faintly blue. "Stay here," he ordered in a low voice. Rena shook her head furiously. "No, don't open it," she whispered. Her voice cracked with fear, but Adrian ignored her. He walked to the window slowly, every step heavy, cautious. The glowing device on the desk hummed again, faint at first, then louder, as if it could sense what was outside. The knocks stopped. Silence. Adrian placed his hand against the curtain. His jaw was tight, his eyes unblinking. He pulled the curtain back in one swift motion. Nothing. The window showed only the night sky, pale moonlight, and the tops of distant trees swaying in the wind. No person, no figure, no shadow. Rena let out a shaky breath, relief flooding through her. "There's nothing there," she whispered. But Adrian did not relax. He leaned closer to the glass, scanning every inch. Then his face stiffened. He raised the glowing rod higher. "What is it?" Rena asked, her voice trembling. Adrian's reply was quiet, grim. "Look closer." She didn't want to, but something in his voice made her crawl forward, her body still trembling. She lifted her eyes toward the glass and she saw it. At first it looked like a reflection, but reflections do not move on their own. A faint shape pressed against the glass from the outside. Long fingers. A crooked face. 2 glowing eyes staring straight into hers, Rena screamed. She stumbled back, crashing into the desk. The device on the desk flared brightly, its hum rising into a deep vibration. The whole room seemed to shake. Adrian raised the rod and struck the window. The glass rippled, not breaking but warping like water. The shadow outside dissolved into smoke and vanished. For a long moment, silence hung heavy in the air. Only the sound of Rena's ragged breathing filled the room. Adrian turned sharply to the desk. The machine was no longer calm. Its surface glowed with strange symbols, lines of shifting light. The hum grew louder and louder, vibrating through the floor and walls. "They're trying to cross," Adrian muttered. Rena clutched her chest, her voice trembling. "What do you mean, cross? Cross into here?" Adrian's eyes narrowed. "The bridge is not just one way. If it opens too wide, they can step through." Rena shook her head in disbelief. "This is insane. Why would you build this? Why would you bring them here?" Adrian's face hardened. "Because we must know what is coming. If we don't, humanity will be blind when they arrive." Before Rena could argue, the machine shrieked. The blue glow exploded outward, filling the room with light. Both of them shielded their eyes. When the light dimmed, Rena lowered her hand and froze. There were figures in the room. They weren't solid. Their bodies flickered, half smoke, half light. But they were there, 3 tall shapes standing in a circle around the desk. Their heads turned in perfect unison, and all 3 stared at her. Her throat tightened. Her legs refused to move. Adrian stepped in front of her again, holding the glowing rod like a weapon. "Back," he warned them. The figures didn't move. Instead, one of them tilted its head. Its body shimmered, and then a voice echoed. Not through the air, but inside Rena's mind, you see. "You hear. You are chosen." Rena pressed her hands against her ears, but the voice was already inside her. "Stop!" she cried. Adrian swung the rod, and the air cracked with energy. The figures flickered, bending away, but they did not vanish. Rena's eyes darted to the machine. Its surface was wide open now, the glow brighter than ever. Strange symbols shifted across its screen like living things. She didn't understand them, but somehow deep in her chest she felt they were calling to her. She staggered backward, shaking her head. "Why are they saying that? Why me?" Adrian's voice was sharp. "Because they think you can hear them, and they're right." Her heart skipped. "What?" He looked at her with fierce eyes. "You can hear their voice directly. I can't. That means they've chosen you as a link." The room shook again. The figures leaned closer. The glow spread across the floor like water creeping toward her feet. "No," she whispered, tears streaming down her cheeks. "I don't want this. I'm nobody." The voices inside her head grew louder, overlapping whispers, sharp and clear. "Chosen. Bridge. Defender." She stumbled back until she hit the wall, her hands shaking violently. Adrian swung the rod again, shouting words in a language she didn't recognize. The device crackled, sparks flying. The figures screamed, a sound like broken glass before vanishing in a rush of smoke and light. The room fell silent again. Rena collapsed onto her knees, gasping for air. Sweat ran down her face, mixing with tears. "This is madness," she whispered. "Why won't they leave me alone?" Adrian turned to her slowly, his expression heavy with something like guilt. He lowered the glowing rod. "They won't stop," he said softly, "because now they've seen you. And once they see you, they never let go." Rena's breath caught. Her heart thudded painfully in her chest, and then, before she could even answer, there was a sudden heavy thud above them. Something was walking on the roof. Rena's eyes lifted toward the ceiling. The weight of the footsteps made dust fall from the wooden beams. She clutched her arms tightly around herself, shivering. There's something up there," she whispered. Adrian gripped the glowing rod tighter, his eyes fixed upward. "It found us," he muttered. Rena's voice trembled. "What do you mean it?" Before he could answer, the footsteps stopped. The silence was worse than the sound itself. The night outside was still, but the air inside the room grew colder. The device on the desk pulsed again, as though responding to whatever was above, and then another sound. Not footsteps, not knocks, but breathing. Deep, heavy breathing directly above them. Rena pressed herself against the wall, her heart pounding. "We need to leave," she cried. Adrian shook his head. "If we run, it will follow. If we stay, maybe I can force it back." Force it back. The words twisted in Rena's mind. Back to where? Back to what world? Before she could ask, the ceiling creaked. A long crack appeared in the plaster. Dust rained down, covering the desk, the machine, the carpet. Rena screamed. "It's coming through!" Adrian raised the rod, shouting in that strange language again. The machine flared, symbols rushing across its surface like rivers of fire. The room shook, the lights flickered, and for a moment, the crack in the ceiling held. But then, another sound filled the room. A voice, not Adrian's, not hers. The same low, broken whisper that had haunted her before. Rena, her blood turned to ice. She clutched her ears, but it made no difference. The voice was inside her head. Adrian's voice cut through. "Fight it! Don't answer. If you respond, it will bind." But the voice grew louder, more tempting. "You see, you hear. You are chosen." Rena shook her head violently, pressing her back against the wall. "Stop, stop. I don't want this," she cried. Adrian turned sharply toward her. His face was hard, his eyes dark. "Rena, listen to me. There is something you don't know." She looked at him, shaking, tears streaking her face. "What are you talking about?" He hesitated, his grip tightening on the rod. His voice lowered. "You were never just a maid." Rena froze. Her breath caught in her throat. What do you mean?" Adrian glanced at the ceiling, then back at her. His words came fast, urgent. "You were placed here, Rena, not by chance. You were chosen long ago. Chosen because you can hear them." Her chest rose and fell quickly. "That's insane. I'm just a servant. I cook, I clean." "No." Adrian's voice was sharp now. "That is the mask. That is the life they gave you to keep you safe. But the truth is that you are one of the few humans who can resist them. Resist them." The words struck her harder than the footsteps above. "I don't understand," she whispered. The ceiling groaned again. The breathing grew louder. Adrian's voice rose over the sound. Listen carefully. The creatures, these shadows, they have been watching Earth for a long time. They slip into our world, binding to humans, controlling them. But there are some rare people they cannot control. You are one of them. That is why it called your name. Her knees nearly gave way. She shook her head in disbelief. No, that's not me. I'm nobody. Adrian's hand gripped her shoulder. His eyes locked on hers. You are the reason they are here. You are the reason I built the bridge. To find you. To prepare you. Her lips trembled. Prepare me. For what? He opened his mouth to answer, but the ceiling finally split open. Crack! Wood splintered. Dust poured down. Rena screamed as a long, dark limb pushed through the opening. It was thin and sharp, bending in ways no human arm could. The skin shimmered like smoke and glass. Fingers stretched wide, searching. The machine roared with light, its glow flooding the room. Adrian lifted the rod and struck the air. A blast of blue energy shot upward, hitting the dark limb. The creature screeched, a sound like tearing metal, and pulled back, but only for a moment. Another limb forced its way through. Then another. Rena clutched Adrian's arm. We can't stop it, she cried. Adrian's jaw tightened. His voice was grim. Maybe not, but we can slow it. He shoved her toward the door. Run! She hesitated, her body frozen with terror. What about you? He looked back at her, his face pale but determined. I'll hold it. But remember this, Rena. His voice grew sharp, filled with urgency. This is not about me. It's about you. They want you. And if they take you, all of humanity will fall. Her chest tightened. Her vision blurred with fear and confusion. She stumbled into the hallway, her breath ragged. Behind her, the creature roared again, shaking the house. Adrian shouted words she didn't understand. The crack of energy blasting through the air. Rena ran down the corridor, her heart hammering in her chest. The walls seemed to close in around her. The voice echoed inside her skull, louder than ever. Chosen, chosen, chosen. She covered her ears, but it was useless. The whispers wrapped around her like chains. At the end of the hallway, she stopped, gasping for breath. She turned back toward the room. The blue light flashed violently through the crack in the door. Adrian's voice rose in defiance, and then silence. The light went out. The whisper in her head stopped. Rena's heart dropped into her stomach. She stared at the door, her whole body trembling. Adrian? She whispered. No answer. She took one step forward, another. Her hand reached for the doorknob, and then slowly, the door creaked open on its own. Rena's breath caught. She stood frozen at the end of the hall, her hand half raised, her heart pounding so loudly it echoed in her ears. The room beyond was dark now. The blue glow was gone. The hum of the machine was silent. Adrian? She whispered, her voice barely audible. No reply. She swallowed hard, her throat dry. Step by step, she moved toward the door, each creak of the floorboards sounding like thunder in the silence. She pushed the door wider with trembling fingers. Inside, the air was heavy, thick, like after a storm. The desk stood in its usual place, the strange device dark and lifeless. Adrian was nowhere to be seen. Adrian, she called again, louder this time. Her voice was swallowed by the silence, then she saw it, something on the floor. She gasped and rushed forward. A long black mark stretched across the carpet, burned into it like a scar. The air smelled of smoke and metal. Her eyes darted around the room, searching desperately. No Adrian, no shadow. Nothing but that scar and the dead machine. Her hands trembled. No, no, she whispered. And then, the ground shook. A deep rumble rolled through the house, rattling the windows, shaking the walls. Rena stumbled, gripping the desk to steady herself. The air outside grew bright, red light flooding in through the curtains. She ran to the window and pulled the curtain aside. Her mouth fell open. Above the city, cutting through the night sky, a massive shape hovered. A ship, no, something bigger, stranger, alive with light. Its body was dark metal, but veins of crimson pulsed across it, glowing like blood. It moved slowly, casting shadows over rooftops and streets below. The rumble grew louder as the ship descended lower. The ground shook harder. Rena's breath came in short gasps. She turned from the window, her whole body trembling. Adrian, where are you? She whispered. The machine on the desk flickered suddenly. Its surface glowed faintly again, symbols crawling across it like fireflies. Rena stumbled back, a voice whispered inside her mind. Do not fear. You are chosen. Her knees weakened. She fell to the floor, clutching her head. Stop talking to me, she cried, but the whisper didn't stop. It grew louder, clearer. They are coming. They cannot see the truth. Only you can, her chest tightened. Why me? I'm not special. The device pulsed again, brighter now. A small crack opened above it, shimmering like glass breaking. Through it she saw flashes, giant machines, dark skies, figures marching across endless cities. Her body shook with terror. Then, behind her she heard footsteps, slow, heavy, familiar. She spun around. Adrian stood in the doorway. Relief flooded through her. Adrian, you're alive. But his face was pale, his eyes sharp. He looked exhausted, as if he had fought for hours. His clothes were torn, his hands blackened by smoke. Rena, he said, his voice firm but weak. They're here. She rushed toward him. That thing, outside. What is it? He looked past her to the window. His face hardened. A ship, their ship. They've broken the barrier. Her blood ran cold. The shadows? He shook his head. Not shadows this time, flesh, metal, real. Rena felt her stomach twist. She glanced back at the sky. The ship loomed lower, its crimson veins throbbing, casting the entire city in a red glow. Why don't the others see it? She asked desperately. The neighbors, the city. Why aren't they screaming? Adrian's jaw tightened. Because it hides itself from their eyes. Only a few can see. Only the chosen. Her breath caught. The word struck her like a knife. Chosen. Again. That word. I don't want to be chosen, she cried. Adrian stepped closer, gripping her shoulders. You have no choice. Humanity has no choice. We either stand, or we fall. Before she could reply, the house shook violently. Dust rained from the ceiling. A deafening roar filled the air like engines tearing the sky apart. The ship had descended lower now, hovering directly above the city center. From its underside, lines of red light stretched downward, cutting through the streets like spears. The ground cracked under the force. Rena's eyes widened in horror. What are they doing? Adrian's face was grim. Landing. The machine on the desk blazed suddenly, brighter than ever. The symbols spun across its surface in circles, faster and faster. Adrian's eyes darted to it. It's reacting to them, he muttered. The bridge. It's opening wider. Rena stepped back, her heart racing. Can you stop it? He shook his head. Not anymore. It's beyond control. The arrival has begun. Her body shook with fear. The whispers in her head returned, louder than ever. Stand. Chosen. Stand. She pressed her hands against her skull, tears spilling down her cheeks. I can't do this. Adrian's voice cut through, sharp and fierce. You must. This is why you were chosen. To resist them. To fight back when no one else can even see them. Her eyes filled with terror and disbelief. She shook her head violently. I'm just a maid. The house trembled again, harder than before. A window shattered. Outside, figures were descending from the ship. Tall, armored beings with glowing eyes. Their bodies were part flesh, part machine, moving with terrifying precision. Rena's voice broke into a sob. They're here. Adrian lifted the rod again, its tip sparking blue. His face was pale, but his eyes blazed with determination. Yes, and they won't stop until they take everything. The whispers inside her head rose to a scream. Stand, chosen, stand! Rena clutched her chest, her breath ragged, her vision swimming. She looked from Adrian to the machine, then to the red sky outside, and then her body stilled. A calmness washed over her just for a moment. She realized the truth. Whether she wanted it or not, this was no longer about her life as a maid. This was bigger. This was everything. But before she could speak, the roof tore open above them. A giant clawed hand reached down through the splintering wood, grasping for her. The roof cracked like thunder, wood splintered, beams broke, and a giant clawed hand tore through the ceiling, its fingers stretching toward Rena. The air filled with dust and shards of plaster. Rena stumbled back, choking on fear. Adrian shouted, raising the glowing rod. A flash of blue light shot upward, striking the monstrous hand. The creature roared, a sound that rattled every wall of the house. Smoke and sparks flew as the hand pulled back, shaking the roof violently. Run, Rena! Adrian cried, but Rena didn't move. Her legs were frozen, her heart hammering like a drum. She could still hear the voice inside her head, louder than the monster itself. Chosen, Stan, chosen. The machine on the desk roared to life again, glowing brighter than ever. Symbols raced across its surface in frantic circles. The air around it bent and warped like rippling water. Rena covered her ears. "Make it stop," she screamed. Adrian grabbed her arm, pulling her toward the door. "We don't have time." They're landing all across the city. Her eyes darted back to the window. Outside, red beams of light struck the ground and giant armored figures emerged from them. Their bodies were half flesh, half machine, glowing veins of energy pulsing under their metallic skin. They marched in silence, their eyes glowing like fire. No one else seemed to notice. No screams, no chaos. The city slept peacefully while invaders walked its streets. Why can't they see them? Rena cried. Adrian's voice was grim. Because only the chosen can see, and only the chosen can fight. Her heart clenched. "Stop calling me that. I can't fight. I don't even know what this is." The house shook again. The clawed hand smashed down, tearing away another section of the roof. Moonlight and red glow spilled into the room. Adrian pointed the rod at her. Its blue tip sparked. "You must choose, Rena, right now. If you accept, I can open the bridge fully. You'll see what you are, what you can do. But if you refuse..." His eyes flicked toward the tearing ceiling. "They will take you. And once they bind to you, humanity is finished." Her whole body trembled. The whispers inside her head grew louder, overlapping until they sounded like screams. Chosen, bridge, defender, stand. Rena pressed her hands over her face. Tears spilled between her fingers. "I don't want this." "You have no choice," Adrian roared. His voice cut like a blade. "The world needs you whether you want it or not." The clawed hand struck down again, smashing the desk in two. The machine flared violently, a beam of light bursting upward like a pillar. Through it, Rena saw flashes, armies marching, stars burning, cities falling under red skies. She collapsed to her knees, overwhelmed. "I can't. I'm just a maid." Adrian dropped to one knee beside her, gripping her shoulders tightly. His eyes burned with fierce determination. "No, Rena, that was the lie. You were placed here hidden, because they knew this day would come. You are more than you believe, more than anyone believes." Her lips trembled. She wanted to deny it, to scream it all away, but deep in her chest, beneath the terror, something stirred. Something strong. The whispers inside her head softened, almost gentle now. "Stand. Stand." Her breath steadied for a moment. She lifted her eyes to Adrian. "If I choose this, what happens to me?" Adrian hesitated, his jaw tight. "Then you will see the truth. And once you see it, you can never go back." Her chest tightened. Never go back. She thought of her small life, her quiet duties, her simple days. That life was already gone, torn apart the moment she walked through that door at midnight. The claw smashed again, ripping open the rest of the roof. Dust and debris rained down. The giant figure outside lowered its head, its glowing eyes locking on her. Adrian shoved her toward the beam of light spilling from the machine. "Choose, Rena," he shouted. "Stand or fall." Her breath came fast. Her heart screamed no, but her soul whispered yes. She stepped forward into the light. The world shifted instantly. Her body felt weightless. The room, the house, the city all melted away. She stood on a platform of light surrounded by stars. Towering figures stood before her, not shadows this time, but clear and sharp. Beings of light, their forms human-like but radiant, their eyes filled with fire. One of them raised a hand, pointing at her. Its voice rang inside her chest like thunder. "You are the bridge, the last defense." "Humanity's choice," Rena gasped, her eyes wide. She shook her head. "I'm not ready." The being stepped closer. "Then you must become ready. For they are here." The stars around her darkened. Behind the beings of light, shadows rose, thousands of them marching, their eyes burning red. Their clawed hands stretched toward her. Rena stumbled back, her chest tightening. She wanted to scream. The being's voice boomed louder. "Stand, chosen. If you fall, all will fall." Rena's vision blurred. Her knees buckled. The whispers returned, louder than ever, filling her head, her chest, her soul. And then, the light shattered. She was thrown back into the real world, gasping for air. She lay on the floor, her body shaking violently. The machine sparked, smoke rising from it. Adrian leaned over her, his face filled with urgency. "Did you see it?" Did you see them? Rena opened her mouth, her voice a whisper. Yes. Outside the city shook with another thunderous roar. The ground split. Red light spilled through the streets as the giant machines landed. Adrian's face hardened. He pulled her to her feet. Then you know. The war has begun. Rena's heart pounded, her body trembling. She looked through the shattered roof at the massive ship above, and then her blood ran cold. Because one of the armored creatures was standing right inside the room, watching her. The armored creature stood in the ruined room, its glowing red eyes fixed on Rena. It was taller than any human, its body a terrifying mix of metal and flesh. Steam hissed from the cracks in its armor, and every step it took made the floor tremble. Rena stumbled back until her shoulders hit the wall. Her breath came in short, sharp gasps. The whispers inside her head roared again. Chosen, stand, chosen. The creature raised its clawed hand toward her. Its voice was low and mechanical, layered with static. Surrender. You belong to us. Adrian stepped between them, raising the glowing rod. Sparks crackled at its tip. His voice was steady, though his hands trembled. You will not take her. The creature tilted its head. You cannot resist. The bridge is open. The chosen is ours. It lunged forward. Adrian struck with the rod, a blast of blue energy shooting across the room. The creature roared, stumbling back as its armor sparked and smoked. But it did not fall. It recovered quickly, eyes burning brighter. Rena's body shook. Her mind screamed to run, but her legs refused to move. She remembered the vision she had seen. The armies, the shadows, the beings of light. She remembered their words. Stand chosen. If you fall, all will fall. Her heart raced. Her fear was still there, heavy as chains. But beneath it, something else stirred. Something stronger. Adrian swung the rod again, shouting words in that strange language. The creature deflected the blow with its armored arm, slamming him across the room. Adrian crashed into the wall, the rod clattering to the floor. Adrian! Rena cried. He groaned, blood on his lip, but forced out the words. Rena, you must fight. Only you can. Her whole body trembled. I don't know how. The creature turned back to her, its clawed hand reaching again. Its voice echoed inside her mind. Submit. You are ours. Her chest tightened. She pressed her hands against her skull. Stop, stop. Stop, she screamed. And then, something happened. The machine on the desk sparked violently, as though responding to her voice. A beam of light shot out, striking her chest. The force lifted her from the ground, filling her body with heat, with energy. Her eyes widened. She felt it, a pulse inside her, alive, powerful. Her fear burned away, replaced by fire. The whispers no longer sounded like chains. They sounded like drums. Stand, stand, stand. She rose to her feet slowly, her eyes glowing faint blue. The creature paused, its claws lowering slightly. For the first time, it hesitated. Rena looked at her hands. Light flowed from them, bright and steady like liquid fire. She gasped, but did not pull away. The energy felt natural, as if it had always been inside her, waiting. Adrian coughed, his voice weak but proud. Yes, that's it. The bridge chose you. Use it! The creature roared, lunging again. But this time Rena did not cower. She raised her hand instinctively. A wave of light burst forward, slamming into the monster's chest. The impact shook the room. The creature flew backward, crashing through the broken wall and landing outside in the street below. Rena stood frozen, her glowing hands trembling. I did that, she whispered. Adrian forced himself to stand, his face pale but his eyes fierce. Yes, because you are the chosen, humanity's defender. Outside, the city shook as more ships descended. Red beams cut through the sky, landing across the rooftops. Dozens, maybe hundreds of armored creatures emerged, marching silently through the streets. Rena's chest tightened. Fear returned, but it was different now, sharper, controlled. She turned to Adrian. There are too many. I can't fight them all. He nodded grimly. Not alone. But you are not alone, she frowned. What do you mean? The machine on the desk flared again. Another beam of light shot upward, and through it figures appeared. Tall beings of light, the same ones from her vision. They stood like guardians, their radiant eyes locked on her. One of them spoke, its voice filling her chest. You are not alone, Rena. Through you, humanity awakens. Through you, they will rise, her lips parted. Through me. The being raised its hand. You are the bridge. You carry the spark. The fight begins here. Outside, the armored creature she had struck down rose again, damaged but alive. Its roar shook the streets. Others turned their glowing eyes toward the house. Adrian gripped the wall for support, his voice firm despite his weakness. "They're coming for you, and they won't stop." Rena clenched her fists. Light pulsed through her veins. For the first time she felt not just fear, but strength. Her eyes burned with determination. "Then let them come." The roof above them split wider as another ship descended, its red glow filling the night. Armored figures leapt from it, landing in the streets with heavy thuds. Rena stepped forward, her glowing hand steady. She faced the swarm of shadows and machines, her voice clear, stronger than ever before. "I was a maid yesterday, but tonight, I fight for humanity." The sky erupted with light and fire. The invaders charged, and Rena, the chosen, stepped into the battle.